Dallas and Kate Kinzett have been farming and breeding sport horses on the west coast for more than 30 years. Their objective is to produce horses capable of excelling at any discipline for any level of rider.
We did have 700 hectares and we've now cut it down to 370 farmable, 250 of that is effective. This was a farm that was bought for hydro development in the 1950s, and it was leased out privately until it was settled in 1978 when it was put up for ballot, a civilian ballot. And we were lucky to be, we're farming in the area, and we actually were lucky enough to win the ballot. Kate had been born and bred in Murchison all her life and was always keen on the horses. I'd been born in Nelson and shifted to Murchison when I left school. I've been farming through the area, working on farms, and I had 10 years as a shearing contractor before we went farming, and yeah, that's how we ended up here. I think it was running 1,000 ewes when we took it over, and probably about 80 cows. We've just built it up from that. It was, being a civilian ballot, it was all in pretty poor shape when we came here. We had a lot of work to do. And then the deer recoveries in the late 70s, that was very good to us. We farmed deer for a short time, but don't have any on at present. And then more recent years, we've gone to dairy grazing. Got a pretty simple system going now. We've got 100 beef cows on of our own, and we'll probably run up to 200 dairy grazers on an annual basis now. We bought 3 or 4 horses here when we came here, and since then we've always seemed to have had a stallion on the place and bred. We've competed as a family when we were younger, our son, so the 3 of us used to do a lot of eventing and show jumping. And then more in recent years we've gone to hunting in the winter and breeding, basically. The horses on a stock unit basis, they probably pay their way, but yeah, your animal health costs tend to run away with you, so it's not as, there's no great money to be made, but it's more of a passion.
We had a horse called I'm Bird. He was a big grey thoroughbred bred from down Southland, one of the good old staying types, and he was a very good horse for me. He was shortlisted for the Seoul Olympics and the World Champs. He got champion wherever he went. That was in the show ring doing flat classes. He also jumped, round the ring hunter jumping, did some FEI. We've still got his bloodlines here now, and we're breeding them, and a lot of people are getting jolly good horses from that line. Dallas's father, he had a thoroughbred stallion, and when they come to Murchison, Dallas was 14, I think he was, and he brought the horse with him. Him and Dad got into breeding sport horses together. And I don't know, somehow just Dallas and I got together too. And we've carried on with that tradition with breeding horses. Farming horses, especially because we breed from the thoroughbred mares mainly, you have to have a good eye for a horse and be able to understand their temperament. It's a wee bit like deer farming. You know, they're animals of flight, and so you've got to be calm all the time where they might be being upset, and then they'll take the idea from you, that there's nothing to get upset about, and they're the same. We do most of our hoof trimming ourselves. We used to do shoeing ourselves for our horses, but it's easier nowadays. We're getting older, so we get our farrier to come and shoe the horses for us now. These are sport horses. They're mostly all out of thoroughbred mares, and they're by our heavier stallions. Our stallions have got either Clydesdale or Shire in them, and they've got a bit of thoroughbred in them as well. These are all bred to jump, do dressage, hunting, just a good all-round sport horse. And they're all born at the homestead. They stay in for about 3 or 4 weeks, and they're taught to go in and out of the stable with their mothers, learn to nibble out of hay nets and eat feed and drink out of buckets. And it's all just teaching them for later on, for when they're sport horses, for people that take them to be competing horses. As they grow from young horses on their mothers, They come in every few months to be wormed and have their feet trimmed, and they're socialised, and when they're weaned, they will come and they're separated from their mothers. We like to take the mares well away, right out of earshot, and the young ones are at home behind the deer netting, and they're given baleage to eat, and they're hard fed on a good sport horse feed for weanlings. And so we make sure that they get all the good lime and calcium, everything that they need, and plenty of selenium so that they grow to really strong horses.
Traditionally, we've run Perrindales and Romney Cross, so the Romdale, and I've always had Suffolks. I bought them in the early 1970s. I bought a few stud sheep, kept them registered for a few years, and then we've just run a purebred flock since. Had over 200 Suffolks at one stage, and now we've downgraded with the sheep. We've sold most of the breeding ewes. We've only got about 150, 70 of which are pure Suffolks, and we buy a good ram to breed replacements. But for the last 5 years, we've used a Texel ram over the Suffolks, which we call a Suftex. We sell between 20 and 30 rams most years. So yeah, they seem to be a very, very good sheep, and we're getting great results. The deering's taken over in the last 10 years. Really, it's really increased in this area, and because when I was shearing in the district, we had thousands of sheep, and there was a living to be earned from it. You certainly wouldn't earn a living from shearing in this area now. The Texel Suffolk is a very good sheep because all our ewe lambs, we works them usually about the second week of December, and this last year they averaged 18.6 kilo hook weight for the females. And then we've just sent some of our cull ram lambs away recently, and we expect them to do between 25 and 30 kilo hook weight. I think the horses and the other farm work all works together. We tend to use the horses for a lot of our cattle work, and therefore our cattle are a lot quieter because of this. We have motorbikes on the place, but we still use horses for shifting stock basically and working the dogs. The adjustment for the racehorses is when people they want to take them away from the racetrack scene for a period to give them a complete spell. Some of the trotting and pacing fellas, they send their horses here they want them on the hills. They don't want them running around a flat paddock, and so we tend to have good safe hill paddocks where we can run them on. And yeah, so they pay on a weekly rate and as to how well they want them done, and if they want them hard fed as well. The horses that we breed here are very natural because of the terrain they run over. They get all sorts of banks and creeks, rivers to run through, and so when you break them in, there's no problem making horses go through water or whatever. And it's a great natural environment with the hills, the balance of hills, terraces, and the flats we have here.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.